What happens when fear and paranoia grip a community? In 1692, the small town of Salem, Massachusetts, became the epicenter of one of the darkest chapters in American history, the Salem witch trials. Over the course of a single year, neighbors turned against each other, accusations of witchcraft spread like wildfire, and 20 innocent people were executed. But how did it all begin? And what can this tragic tale teach us about the dangers of hysteria and injustice? Let's uncover the chilling story of the Salem witch trials. Salem in the late 1600s was a deeply religious and tightly knit Puritan community. Life was harsh, winters were brutal, crops often failed, and disease was a constant threat. The Puritans believed that the devil was always lurking, eager to corrupt the faithful. This fear of the supernatural created a fertile ground for suspicion and blame. Social tensions also simmered beneath the surface. Salem was divided between wealthy families who wanted to expand the town's economy and poorer, rural families who clung to traditional values. It was a community ripe for conflict, and in 1692, that tension would explode in a way no one could have predicted. It all began in the household of Reverend Samuel Parris. His young daughter, Betty, and niece, Abigail Williams, began exhibiting strange behaviors, convulsions, fits of screaming, and claims of being bitten by invisible forces. The local doctor could find no physical explanation and declared the girls bewitched. Under pressure to name their tormentors, the girls accused 3 women: Tituba, an enslaved woman in the Parris household; Sarah Good, a homeless beggar; and Sarah Osborne, an elderly woman who rarely attended church. These women, already marginalized by society, became the first scapegoats of the Salem witch trials. When Tituba confessed to practicing witchcraft, claiming she had been forced by the devil, it ignited a frenzy. Her vivid descriptions of satanic rituals and her claim that others in the town were involved spread fear like wildfire. Soon, accusations began pouring in from all corners of Salem. The Salem witch trials were unlike any legal proceedings we recognize today. Evidence was often based on superstition and hysteria. Spectral evidence, or the testimony of people who claimed to see spirits or visions of the accused, was commonly used in court. Physical marks like moles or scars were interpreted as witches' marks. Confessions were the only way to avoid execution, leading many to falsely admit to witchcraft. Those who refused to confess, like Rebecca Nurse and Giles Corey, were executed. Giles Corey, in particular, suffered a brutal death, pressed to death with heavy stones, as he refused to plead guilty or innocent. His last words were reportedly, "More weight." By the time the hysteria ended, 20 people had been executed, 14 of them women. Dozens more were imprisoned, and lives were forever destroyed. Families were left broken, and the community was torn apart. As the months passed, doubts began to creep into the minds of Salem's residents. Clergymen from other towns criticized the use of spectral evidence, and some judges began to question the fairness of the trials. By May 1693, the governor of Massachusetts, William Phips, had disbanded the special court handling the trials and pardoned those still in jail. The community was left to grapple with its guilt. In 1697, the Massachusetts General Court declared a day of fasting and repentance for the tragedy. Decades later, in 1711, the state offered financial restitution to the families of the victims, but no amount of money could undo the damage that had been done. The Salem witch trials remain one of the most infamous examples of mass hysteria and injustice in history. They serve as a stark reminder of how fear can spiral out of control when reason is abandoned. This dark chapter has parallels to modern events, where fear and suspicion lead to the scapegoating of innocent people. Whether it's the Red Scare of the 1950s or more recent examples of social panic, Salem's story continues to resonate. The Salem witch trials remind us of the fragility of justice and the devastating consequences of paranoia. As we reflect on this tragic chapter in history, let's ask ourselves, how can we ensure that fear never outweighs reason again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Crime Chronicles for more stories of intrigue and history.